Despite the fact that 1 in 100 people in the world are on the autism spectrum, families don't really know what to think when they first hear the news.
My son was diagnosed when he was 4 years old with autism, PDD-NOS, and he was also a speech handicap because he was nonverbal.
And he was so very hard to diagnose because, he would hit 2 of the traits and then skip 3 traits, and then he'd have this one really strong and not have this one.
One day he went from sentences to 2 words to 1 word to just started nothing at all, no eye contact, anything.
And the only thing I knew was what I had seen on TV, and to me that was not functioning at all. And I was worried that he wasn't going to have any kind of a life.
I know for myself, I was just really freaked out.
And once he was born, they told me he would not survive his first year. And if he did, he would be a vegetable. He would never walk or talk or do anything else. Obviously, as you can see, he can walk and talk.
My name is Alex Plank, autistic self-advocate and creator of WrongPlanet.net. Here's home video footage of me and my sister taken in the fall of 1994. I was 7 years old. My parents didn't know I was autistic until the age of 9 when I was formally diagnosed.
Very nice.
I was treated poorly in school and bullied frequently.
And our next person up is Alex Plank. And Alex created the website WrongPlanet.net.
And the teachers didn't help. In fact, the principal got all the kids in my class one time into her office, and with me, and they got to go sit around in a circle and say what they didn't like about me.
I went on to live independently, going to college where I fell in love with filmmaking and out of love with programming. I started a web series called Autism Talk TV.
Hi, and welcome to Autism Talk TV Episode 5.
And traveled the country covering various topics dealing with autism.
There are obviously people that are on the spectrum that have very good lives and can be quite independent, and you're a great example of that.
Here's me interviewing the cast of the NBC series Parenthood.
Hello. Oh, that's good. I like that. You're giving me 1 year of interest.
It was during the taping of this show that I befriended a group known as the ARC, one of the largest nonprofits for autism and other disabilities. The ARC runs a series of conferences all over the country.
It's my privilege to work at the Autism NOW Center. We are a federally funded center by the Administration on Developmental Disabilities that provides information resources to individuals with autism, other developmental disabilities, and their families.
I was asked by the ARC to cover the Autism Now conferences taking place in Los Angeles, California, and Austin, Texas, to find out how these particular gatherings are helping people get the answers they need.
Thank you so much for joining me, Max. What brings you to Autism Now?
It helps me advocate for what is right toward true inclusion of persons with autism as well as intellectual and developmental disabilities being involved in these conventions and conferences that are put on by Autism Now.
What do you think of Autism Now?
I think Autism Now is really cool because it provides an opportunity for autistic people, parents, educators, and everybody else to come together and talk honestly about what we need.
What has Autism Now done for you?
Well, I've been very impressed with the opportunity it's created for inter-community networking at each venue. I attended the conference in Orlando and now the one here in California. And in one of the sessions I was in, a woman was expressing some concern she was having for her individual that she cares for. And the gentleman who was facilitating pointed out 3 advocates that could help her with her issues right there in the room. I think that's remarkable.
It feels really good to hear other parents just talk about the challenges, accomplishments, and just have a lot of information out there that you don't really get. And people are, open and they tell you true life situations.
I never met a lot of people that were in my shoes where my child did not speak with words. He didn't have words to communicate. I've met so many people at this conference that was on the spectrum, had children like my child,
My favorite part has been the hope. Coming here, I've heard people say, you know, that my child is in college, or my child is graduating college, or also to find out about the different careers and different things that they can have where, you know, my son's not just going to be at McDonald's cleaning off tables or because he won't speak. And also I like the self-advocacy part, because I do a lot of advocating for him, and I'm really seeing how important it is for me to try to transfer that role to him.
I'm proud of who I am as a person with autism. I hope, you know, I see more individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities and persons with autism proud of who they are. I strongly encourage them to get involved in self-advocacy.
Getting it all on paper is very emotional. It's really intimidating. And if you don't have somebody there to advocate and make sure that, you know, things are being carried out in the best interest of your child, you're very likely just to sign on the dotted line because you're thinking, what do I know?
I think that I'm specifically, as someone with autism, am a little more outspoken than most. You know, it's a range, and I personally think that there are a lot of kids who are just left in the dust because of that, and, you know, they could become very successful, but they're just not given what they need. I like what you guys are doing at Self Advocates Becoming Empowered. What are you doing at the Autism Now conferences?
We're conducting focus forums.
Okay.
On various topics like employment, relationships, level of support, living situations.
My parents didn't even think I was going to be able to go to college. I hadn't been able to do well in high school, but I just took the initiative. I turned it around. I was like, no, I need to do this for myself. You know, I took that initiative, and that's something you can teach to some extent, but it's also just sort of a mindset that you just have to have, that, you know, that it's your child's life. You know, he or she can take that initiative and live independently, and now I'm living completely independently from my parents, even more than my non-autistic brother and sister.
I have an 8-year-old child, and most of the parents that I've met here are already, they have children that are transitioning into their adulthood, if you will. I've heard a lot of, we want them to be independent, we want them to be able to be self-sufficient, and that was important to me because that's my future. And I'm very uncertain about the future, and a lot of these parents have made me know and feel that there is hope for my son, and my son really has a bright future. But I think that all of us here need to work together and, you know, push for our children, because without us, who are they going to rely on to help them succeed in life? So thank you very much. I'm very glad that, you know, we came up here, we made the drive, because this is by far the best summit I've been to. Thank you.
I've spoke to so many people that have my same feelings, you know, and this is the first time I've been to conferences since he's been diagnosed, and no one has ever helped me as much as this one to understand some of the things that he do and tell me how to redirect some things as like this one. I just, I can only say this is the best one, and I've got the feeling that I'm not alone. I'm not alone.
I'm most excited about what I think is going to come from this. We've gathered a lot of data, a lot of information. We've collected it from the grassroots level, from the parents and the individuals living on the spectrum, and they've told us what they need. And I facilitated one of those group meetings, and in that meeting it was clear that the same 5 or 6 things keep resonating: service delivery, transition services, post-secondary programs, employment, and in housing. And then quality of life indicators across the board is the common theme. No matter who comes to the table, the same several things keep popping to the surface.
How do you feel about the stigma of disability?
Ignorance is a harder word than I want to use, but it really has to do with not having knowledge of what the truth is. Mm-hmm. And if you really knew who these people were, you couldn't hold that stigma in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I really
It's our
appreciated
pleasure.
it.
Okay. Thanks.
Although the stories are different, the end is
Thank
always
you.
the
Thanks,
same.
Alex.
Thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure talking to you, Valerie.
Same here, same here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity. I felt like I've learned so much.
The pleasure is all
Thank you.
mine. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for talking to us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you both for joining me. It was a pleasure talking to you. And I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dina, thank you so much for talking with me.
You're just. I thought I was gonna die when you looked at me. I'm like, I'm gonna crack up. I'm gonna crack up. No, I'm gonna not crack up. And then you cracked up. That was terrific.
Well, do you want to do this again, like the exit, or do you think this is a good exit?
I think it's a good exit.
We'll include all of that.